Do you sometimes run out of things to say when you're talking to women? That's exactly how we feel right now when we were about to start this video. 10 seconds ago, I said to Jonathan, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I just know we need to make a YouTube video because we just arrived here in Spain on our way to the hotel. And so obviously we're just going to crack right in, because when you're on a date with a lady or you're approaching a lady and you run out of things to say, it's not actually that you don't have any stories to tell, that you have run out of a limited resource called things to say. What it actually is one, you're not in flow. Second, you're mentally castrating yourself. You're not giving yourself permission to say the things that are actually super exciting about your life. Because you have 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years, 20 years of life experience. If you really wanted to, could you not remember 100 days of your life? You have an infinite amount of stories. Now, you need to learn to tell them an exciting story, but you just gotta give yourself permission mentally. Mentally, you gotta say, I'm just gonna flow with this. I'm gonna start speaking this sentence on a date with a lady without knowing exactly where it's gonna lead. And this is where communication in a dating context differs to professional context. Because if you're in a meeting with your peers, your managers, your business partners, your employees, what you're gonna say has to be thought through very well before you open your mouth. The same does not hold true in dating, because she's not on the date for a logical exchange of information. She wants to feel emotions. And for her to be able to feel emotions, it is not just the content of your speech. Yes, that absolutely matters, of course, but the way you say things, and whether you're emotionally stiff, and whether you place a standard of perfection onto yourself that's then transmitted onto her via mirror neurons? I believe that's what it's called. It's very important that you allow yourself to say the thoughts that pop into your mind, because you've created a habit of saying something, having a thought and not saying it. The more you can just allow yourself to go with the flow, even if you don't know where the sentence is going to go, where the story is going to lead, the second you open your mouth, it's perfectly fine. You just can't question it. You just have to have zero insecurity around it. That's the thing. As long as you have zero insecurity around it, it's perfectly fine.
Well, I think one of the things also that you have to
speak into here.
One of the things also that you have to focus on is like you have to assume value, and the words that you are projecting or saying, it will definitely have to shift the mindset of like the things I'm saying has value, not because I know this topic or because I am an expert on this topic, because in real life you don't have to talk too much logical, and we can go and subcommunicate, and we can tackle some of the emotional aspect when we are conversating with other people. And one of the mindsets or frames that you can adapt or you can adjust to yourself is like assuming that you have value and project into the communication and into the conversation that we are sharing to each other. For instance, if I come with a mindset of like, oh well, I have value, and all the things I'm sharing right now, I'm assuming that I have value and something important that I have to say. Therefore, the mirror neurons that you were talking about it, the person will feel like, oh, I know that the thing that he's saying is not that interesting, but for some reason, I don't know what is happening. I feel that interaction has some emotional relevance with myself. And it's just because of the way that you communicate. And also it's gonna come like the tonality, the eye contact, the words that you use also. And also with the security that you transmit the message. And sometimes it does not have to be that relevant. And also you have to allow yourself to express the thoughts that you have in your mind without putting that block and that mental barrier that you usually tend to have when you are with people that you don't know. Because I can imagine that if you are speaking with someone that you know, one of your best friends, you are very easy to talk. You are very talkative, and you are not filtering all the thoughts, ideas, and process that you have. You just said it. And if you have a thought, you have a joke in your mind, you just said it. Even though it's not funny, the people around you will like, oh, I feel that that's not that funny, but because they know you, they will laugh. But at the same time, with the person that is in front of you and you don't know, and you want to share that joke, you can set it, and then you can calibrate how the person will react. Obviously, without expecting that the person is going to be like, oh my God, it's so funny or something like that. But the idea is that if you have an idea or you have something in your brain, you can set it in a way that is calibrated, fun, with energy, with passion, with conviction, that will help you massively in the moment that you're interacting with someone. And even though you are talking with someone that is totally strange, like some random person, you can assume also familiarity. You can assume the same logic that you have when you are with someone that you know. You can adopt that frame and talk with the person as if you know that person for a while. That helps you massively to relax, that helps you massively to get used to talk with strangers. And assuming that familiarity, again, the mirror neurons will affect in that direction. And the person is like, oh, I'm gonna open myself just because the person that is in front of me is opening to myself. Therefore, like, the conversation starts to flow a little bit. Now, it will be cases that the person that is in front of you doesn't want to talk with you. But at the same time, you are providing value because you are giving a positive energy, you are giving like good interaction, compliments, or some sort of like good energy that you are transmitting. Just by default, you are like generating positive value exchange, and you should not be worried about it because on your side, you have gave like really good value to the person that is in front of you. That will create, in a way, a winner effect in the next interaction because you are assuming you get value, you provide value, you're assuming familiarity, all the words that you are saying and you are conveying has value just because you are that person. I think that will be one of a couple of things that you can think about it when you are interacting and you don't know what to say.
Yeah, amazing, extremely valuable. And another thing is also momentum. You cannot expect yourself to be able to make sense and be completely fluent on a date with a lady if you haven't spoken the previous 3 to 4 hours. You ever had that? When you're just doing cognitive work and you're not speaking for several hours, and then the first couple of sentences that come out of your mouth are like, nice to meet you. Like, you know, maybe you want to fuck. You know, It usually doesn't go that well. So what you need to do before you go on the date to not run out of things to say is maybe call a friend on the way to the date. Talk to the Uber driver. Talk to the security staff. Talk to the bartender if you get to the bar a little bit early. You should use everyday interaction points to put yourself into flow. Because it is there's macro momentum and micro momentum. Macro momentum is the skills. So for example, what we do with our clients over several months of coaching online is they develop macro momentum. They get more and more interaction points that basically leads to them being extremely fluent in month 2 or 3. For some it's month 4 or 5. For some it's after a couple of weeks. But there's a macro momentum over several weeks and months, the flow they get into. But there's also micro momentum, which is on the day, or rather your state and how loose your jaw is. So it's very important that you understand that momentum is very real and that you don't judge yourself if the first words that come out of your mouth aren't perfect. So use opportunities before the date to talk yourself into flow. Extremely important. Another one is judgment. Don't judge yourself too harshly. And this goes way deeper than this. But let's talk about self-judgment in the context of dating and especially being able to do storytelling. I talked about this earlier. You have way too high a standard for what you think you're allowed to say. You could be telling so many extremely exciting stories, but you have such a heavy negative dialogue, you overthink, you get stuck in your head, that you prevent yourself from sharing really awesome stories. Things that pop into your mind that may have value to the other person. Because remember, what actually constitutes value? Well, what constitutes value, it's subjective. But largely it's emotions. And if you can embody and act out the characters in your story and give it a little bit of oomph, even if it's in a calm manner, in your own authentic way, that's a value for her in a way. But you're not going to be able to deliver that value if you get stuck in your own head because you judge yourself because of a negative inner dialogue. And if you look at Tony Robbins' model, what creates a powerful mental and emotional state? 1, we have focus. 2, we have physiology. And 3, we have language patterns, or how we speak to ourselves, our own internal dialogue. And what you forget is that you can control it. The most important relationship you'll ever have in life is the one to yourself. That is not to say that you shouldn't get a woman. Obviously get a woman, somebody who's amazing, 100%. Because you can't, I'm just here by myself, making love to myself all day. Great, don't need nobody else. No, that's not what I mean.
But,
huh?
Spanish.
Exactly. Where was I? The relationship you have with yourself, exactly. That is not something that was created 15 years ago or 30 years ago when your uncle kicked you in the face or some nonsense. The relationship you have with yourself, it is something that's developed minute by minute, moment by moment. How you speak to yourself, you control that. Yes, you have thoughts that simply pop up. And oftentimes you don't even realize that they're just thoughts because you immediately associate with the thoughts that pop into your head. Instead, you can view yourself as the realm of loving awareness in which emotions and thoughts occur, and then you can choose which thoughts to believe. Because the only thoughts that have power over you are the ones you choose to believe. But if you immediately associate with whatever thought comes your way, your life won't turn out to be so beautiful because the mind, left to its own devices, will make you survive. It won't make you happy. Your mind will always look for what's wrong first because what's wrong can be absolutely horribly bad. It's called death, right? A negative event taken to an extreme means death. A positive event taken to an extreme, well, there's only so many levels of joy or love or pleasure we can experience ourselves. So our brain has to look for what's wrong because otherwise we'll die. We're all descendants of people who have a brain that made them survive. It is your job to make you happy. And that starts with taking control of consciously choosing the thoughts you want to associate with, as well as shaping your internal dialogue. 2 words on trauma. Yeah, I have this trauma, that's why I'm not confident with women. Nonsense. Günter Schmidt, one of Germany's best psychologists, he says, not to say that trauma isn't real, but he says that there is no clear cause and effect relationship between trauma and whatever symptom you may be experiencing in the moment. Let's say, I'm a little bit insecure and shy around women. I'm just nervous. I'm not as confident as I like to be. Maybe you're crushing it in your career. Maybe you're killing it in business. But you're just not, angle it a bit more this way, but I'm just not as confident with women. Let's say that's the symptom I'm experiencing. Günter Schmidt says, well, there's no clear cause and effect relationship between what happened in the past. Let's say you didn't get enough love from your parents, and that's why. Well, or let's say your uncle kicked you in the face when you were 7 and that's created a weird inferiority complex. It's a silly little example for whatever real trauma experience. And we have to be very loving towards what happened because there's shocking things that happened in the past. For sure, 100%, we need to value them. We need to appreciate them. But if it was really true that there was a cause and effect relationship between an event that occurred at some point in the past and this symptom of you being insecure around women, or let's say uncle kicked me in the face and that's why I'm depressed. Well, if there was a clear cause and effect relationship, then that would mean as long as the cause stays the same, the effect stays the same. As long as the cause stays the same, the effect stays the same. So since the cause occurred in the past, my uncle kicking me in the face, or whatever traumatic event occurring, that is in the past. I cannot change that. The cause will never change. If there was a clear cause and effect relationship, that must mean that I'm always equally depressed or insecure around women. Okay? Evidently I'm not. Sometimes you're more secure. Sometimes you're more in flow. Sometimes heavily less. Why is that? Well, because your experience is shaped by other factors that are way more important than just what happened in the past. It's not to say that you shouldn't heal that and meditation, all of that, but people always say, I need to work on myself first before I can get out there and meet somebody. That's nonsense, because that implies that you will eventually stop working on yourself. No, you're always going to keep working on yourself. Personal development is never going to stop because you either grow or you deteriorate. You'll never really stay the same. And since you're always going to keep growing, you might as well find somebody to work on now. Should I get a relationship now or not? Well, if you want to, do whatever you want. Don't let some German ginger or Ecuadorian Jesus tell you that you should be getting into a relationship if you don't want to. Up to you. But if you want one, then just meditate 20, 30 minutes a day. Allow whatever comes up to arise in the space of loving awareness. Heal it while dating. Most of these people are just, I'm healing. They meditate and then they watch porn and jerk themselves to sleep. Are you kidding me? That's healing? That's not healing. I'm just overthink, work gym. That's not healing. One therapy session every now and then. That's not healing. Yes, do the therapy, but getting out there. Guess what? Your brain needs you to socialize. It's extremely important that you put yourself out there and that you provide your brain with a proof, not just the promises that you are desired. It's extremely good for you. So take control over the relationship you have with yourself by 1, paying attention to the words you utter, as well as to how you say them. Because your internal dialogue is not just the words, the content, the copy of your words, the exact words you utter, but also how you say them. Whether Tony Robbins talks about that, Gunther Schmidt talks about that. If the voice in your head feels very deep and heavy, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do today. Or like, oh my God, what if she's going to reject me? And it's very heavy and it's very serious. You're going to take it serious. But what if you imagine what you were to speak like a little Donald Duck? There's a horrible Donald Duck impression, I know. That's what German Donald Duck sounds like. If you speak in a ridiculous way, and this sounds absolutely ridiculous, I'm aware of that, but it's actually cutting edge neuroscience. It's called a pattern interrupt. It's called dissociation. Because if you have the thought, what if she rejects me? What if she doesn't like me? What if I go for the kiss and she doesn't want me? You're fully associated with this. And instead you say, oh, what if she doesn't want to kiss me? Very difficult to take that thought serious, huh? Or you say, ah, David is afraid of rejection. You dissociate, you relate to the suffering side, the fearful, the worrisome side within you that needs a lot of love from a very competent point. This goes a lot deeper, obviously, but I'd like to encourage you to start taking control over the relationship you have with yourself. Because the way you speak with yourself, and thereby the judgment you place upon yourself, or the lack thereof, will have a massive impact by the amount of flow you'll be able to get to.
You really covered that thought.
We covered that. All right. Next point. Extremely closely related. When it comes to not running out of things to say, it is very crucial that you allow yourself to have the right balance between raw and honest as well as calibrated. By the way, the second I started the sentence, I had no idea where this was going to go. I just want this to be a long video because we have a long-ass taxi drive ahead of us, so we want to be able to provide an insane amount of value, but we obviously need to fit the topics into a coherent manner so it still makes sense within the given title of this video. But when I said that sentence, I didn't even know where this was going to go. It's like, okay, well, what else is important? Okay, the balance between radical honesty and calibration. Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, well...
That's how you put someone on the spot, by the way.
Yeah. So radical honesty, for instance, in the moment, what I'm thinking is like, well, what do I need to share? What do I need to say? What's the value that I need to provide? Now, if we think about it, when we are talking with people in front of us, there is always a voice that we have inside of us that is telling us, do not say that thing because you, in a way, you will be perceived as a bad person. Or what if the person doesn't like the thing that you said it? There is ways to communicate honesty. There is a way to communicate the message that you want to portray to the other person. For instance, if I don't like the person, or if I don't like the idea that the person, or if I don't agree with the idea that the person has in front of me, in a cohesive way, I can say and I can relate. I can say that I don't like the way that the person is speaking to me, or I don't like the action that the person did, or I don't like X, Y, Z in the person. You can say it in that way without holding yourself, because if you have something to say about the other person, you can communicate in a clear way. You don't have to share you don't have to hide yourself all the things and ideas and thoughts that you have in front of you, because you present yourself as a real person when you are sharing your thoughts and ideas that you have in your mind. Now, obviously, in a calibrated way. For instance, if the person that you don't like, you say like, I don't like you. Yeah, why you don't like the person? Is it the person that you don't like, or is it the behavior that you don't like? Now, if you start to strip that part and you say like, look, I don't like the thing XYZ that you did because I feel in that way, we are changing a little bit the subject into I don't like the behavior rather than I don't like the person that I have in front of me. Utilizing that, we can set some sort of boundary that says like, look, the next time that you do XYZ, for me, in my case, I don't like that, and I appreciate if you don't do that the next time. Now, you are setting a boundary in that case.
And if you really want to set the boundary the way Jonathan sets the boundary, you say, boundary. One, two, three.
You have to give real reasons.
He actually did that.
Yeah.
He set a boundary with a person, and in a message he goes, the person says something, and he goes boundary, and then he goes bullet point A, bullet point B, bullet point C.
Yeah. Well, just like a little friend that I have to say something if I don't like it. Now, with that being said, like in a way, you are presenting yourself in a real manner. You are not trying to hide yourself. If you don't like something, you find a way to articulate that idea and share it to the other person. Now, there is also a part that you need to check on yourself, whether are you being too emotional? It is some trauma that you are carrying from former relationships or from the childhood, or something that you saw when you're growing up in a relationship with your father or mother? Is it something that is affecting myself, or is something that actually the other person did? Now, one thing that I usually tend to do is like, I wait for 3 times that the person did the same thing. I don't know, like the 3 times that the person did X, Y, Z that I didn't like it. So, and you record that in your brain. The first time you did that, okay, let's see what happened. The second time, I don't like it, that part. Now I'm recording my brain. And the third time, and when you need to talk about it, you say like, you did this time this, you did this time the same thing, and you did the third time this part. I didn't like it. Then you are giving some fundamentals, some facts, some things that happened in the past. So therefore your message is going to be more clear, more conveyed. You are not just saying it's like, I'm checking myself. Is it something that I am feeling from the past? Is it something that I'm carrying from my former relationship? Is something that I haven't gripped myself properly? Now, if you have those 3 kind of I don't know, chances, opportunities, or situations, then you convey and communicate that message. Look, I don't like the thing that you did. You did that once, you did second, you did the third time. I don't like it, and you express it. Now, the problem sometimes with us is that we haven't been taught how to communicate what we are thinking or what we are feeling. Now, I like to put like crucial conversations, like
I like non-violent communication.
Loves like non-violent communication. So there are some framework that you can talk, you can convey the message that you don't like, and that by you using that, like I think the people tend to respect you more, because you are holding yourself your ground, you're holding yourself your values, and sometimes you don't present as that rational, and you can present yourself much vulnerable. And then, like I remember, like Andrew was talking about that, and I remember I don't remember what he chose that concept, but he was talking about like, and I got stuck in my brain, which says like, you connect with people through vulnerability, and it was like, wow, that thought kind of come in my mind, because like sometimes when you present yourself in a way vulnerable, but not crying or being like, oh please forgive me, no, in a way like, look, I don't like the way that you did, I feel that way. People tend to, healthy people and people that has good relationship with themselves and people that care about you will see that message as valuable and will take into account and consideration. Now, if you are with person that doesn't value or doesn't want to hear what you want to share, like your radical honesty or whatever you want to share, I think it's not ideal to be with that person. And then you can discard the person, because the person is not interested in what you want to say, he's not interested in your well-being, he or she is not interested in developing a relationship. Now, the other side is that you might be in the wrong. If you are radical honest and you're sharing something, you might be in the wrong. How can you check yourself? Okay, first of all, expressing the thing that I don't like it. Then listening what the other person is going to tell you, because like the aspect of just talking and not understanding the person point of view of the other person, it also conveyed a conflict, because you might be in the wrong, and when you are in the wrong, the other person actually is in the right, and the person is more conscious and aware that the person is on the right. Then you enter in a paradigm where you are being seen as more egotistical. It can be like, even though you are not narcissist, the person can believe that you are a narcissist person. That will create a conflict, because you are not able to understand the other point of view of the other person. So it is important in that communication here. Once you convey the thing that you don't like, once you've been radical honest, once you convey your personality, and if the other person doesn't agree, okay, listening, what's going on? And bite your tongue and listening first. Try to understand where the person are coming from, And then after once you have decided, okay, I get it now, I have a more clear understanding of the picture. The person thought that it was this thing, I thought that it was the thing, and I conveyed my radical honesty, which is, in a way, it might be I'm wrong. It might be just an emotion, as I say, like a trauma that I have carried from the past. Once I convey that, in a way, the person that actually cares about you will be like, okay, let's see which one is right, which one is wrong. But this is important and crucial to share your ideas and thoughts when you have in your brain. Share it, express it, but understanding that there are frames and are suitable ways to communicate the thing that you want to convey.
What?
Battery.
Battery? Which battery? Okay.
So like I think that will be a part, like how can you express yourself in a way more radical honesty, seeing whether it's your fault, whether it's their fault, like, and also expressing the things that you don't like, not being quiet, but expressing in a way that also conveys a clear message for the other person in a frame which is not screaming, in a way that is like actually getting into a dialogue.
Exactly. Last thing, because Mateus was saying that the battery's going to die soon. First paradigm that you have to understand is where most people are stuck is they don't share anything. They keep it to themselves. First, you just start sharing. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say what's on my mind. Then the next paradigm is after that, you start filtering it again. You bite your tongue and you think, how am I going to say this in the most effective way? Seek first to understand, then to be understood. But first, you got to just actually start saying it. Because most men, for example, most of our clients, especially some of the ones we're going to meet in Barcelona here, or all the ones around the world, they're so kind, they're so nice, they don't want to say the things because they don't want to offend the person. First paradigm is say it, then you recalibrate and pay attention to how you say it. Cool. Awesome.
I don't know if he wants to talk.
That was very... Oh, I thought that was sick.
Yeah, like,
You want to shizzle?
sure.
About what?
Radical honesty.
Radical honesty.
Or how to never run out of
Be
things
honest.
to say.
Say a lot.
Are you running out of things to say?
I'm just being very like cliff notes, you know, just straight away to the point. I get it. The guys were talking a lot about stuff, but just, you know, if you need the video kind of as a promo, short video, that's
For reals.
yeah.
For TikTok.
It's a promo short video. Just say apply for a free initial consultation.
Just apply.
Just apply.
Just apply.
Hey.
Apply now.
That's it.
That's it.
Pretty much.
That
That's
was
how
a
you
sick
do it.
contribution, bro.
See, and it just everything they said, all the theory. This is the practice. You just say whatever.
Just say it.
See how they're reacting.
They're loving it. Look,
They're just
they
fucking
love
loving
Yeah.
it. After the camera goes down,
Yeah.
they're just jumping on it.
Exactly.
They're just
Jumping.
He's assuming
Right
value.
there.
He's assuming value. He assumes
See?
that what comes out of his mouth is
Yeah.
just amazing.
There you go. So
Sometimes less is more.
Radical honesty.
there you go.